always still dancing when I come in from that music.
Welcome to Living Out Loud Live. I'm Vicky, middle-aged transgender woman. Welcome to your second term at the Transgender School of Feminism and Bitchcraft. As you can see, we have not all donned our school uniforms for the second term. We get a little lax sophomore year. Tonight, we're going to be taking a very requested topic that follows on to last week's episode, the TERF Wars. And this is, we're calling it the TERF Wars Part 2, also known as Why the Hell the Trans Community Hates J.K. Rowling. And there's good reason. We're going to get into it. Once again, this evening, we'll be casting a spell over the misconceptions about the LGBTQIA plus community. And as always, my friend and co-hostess with the mostest is Laura, originator of the Living Out Loud podcast and outspoken LGBTQIA mafia ally.
Hello, everybody. Hello. I hope everybody's having a lovely day. And our good friend and co-host, extraordinary Jamie, well-known LGBTQIA plus advocate, wife, mom to 3, including the future president of the United States, Dempsey, and teacher. How the hell does she do it and still manage to hang out with us every Wednesday? I have no idea whatsoever. She must be a magic woman of some sort. So welcome, Jamie.
We were actually just literally talking about that.
Yes.
Yeah, we I think we're all a bit magic. So
yes, it's the roller skates and the fact that we're just used to just getting it done. You just do.
Exactly. Yeah.
You just do.
You have no choice. You just kind of muddle through.
That's exactly what it is. You have no choice.
Nope.
There's not another option.
Altogether, we are queens of the overshare, particularly in our own houses. I just got to say before we get started, I love you both. I look forward to having this time for Girl Talk. And even though this week has been crazy, I've been looking forward to this so much. I learned so much. I celebrate both of your strength and knowledge and friendship. So thank you so much for doing this crazy shit with me every week. I really appreciate it.
I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else but you two ladies.
Exactly.
Okay. And if you're joining us live, welcome. Or if you're watching us on replay, we welcome that too. Please, let's get this thing circulating because we get a lot of good feedback, positive feedback, and we want to get it in front of as many people as we can. You may hear some things you don't agree with. Please join us in the comments for the discourse. We do just block people that troll us. Fair warning, we will forget about you. And I'm not saying that to be harsh. It's just once we get rolling and we're talking about shit, I'm like, oh, I need to check the comments, damn it. Comments. But we will try to.
We'll circle back.
As much as we can. Tonight we have a lot to unpack again, and we're still splitting all these controversial topics in, so we can deep dive if we need to. Tonight is all going to be about JK or Joe, or if you're part of the transgender community, the bitch incarnate. Right? Mm-hmm. We will try to push this along as gently as possible. It's a free-for-all, though, so please tell us if we're full of crap. Bring the snark. Ask questions that you want to ask, because this isn't a show. It's a discussion. Are we ready to go?
We're ready.
All right, and off we go.
Well, everyone, as we know, always friendship and family comes first around here. So we're going to talk about, as always, what everybody is drinking tonight and how everybody's week has been going, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Tonight, I am sporting a lovely hydration mix with Noon tonight because I felt like I needed that little extra. I had a busy day of going to the Mayo Clinic, and I obtained an official diagnosis of EDS, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a genetic disorder. So even though that sucks immensely because it just means I'm completely disjointed, it's amazing because I finally have answers. So that is the good, the bad, and the ugly for me. Jamie, how about you tonight?
I'm drinking wine as usual, the end of a school day. My week was pretty good. I had my first formal observation of the school year. I was really terrified because we have a new administrator that's overseeing our department, and she comes with quite a bit of a reputation for being really hard. But I actually got the best review I've ever gotten. She gave me all innovating, like basically everything. She said that you could feel the love in my classroom, that the students adore me and have so much respect for me. And it was great. I was shocked, actually. I was like really certain that it was going to be really bad. So, yeah, I was so excited that I actually blew off the department head meeting, the first of the year, and just totally came home. And I was like, whoops, I think I missed a meeting. So, yeah. So, but yeah, my week's been pretty good. Yeah.
That is
And
wonderful.
I'm-
That is
I'm-
congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
mad props. I mean, I
Yeah.
know I have teacher friends. Mad props, girl. Mad props.
thank you.
Take a
Thank
bow.
you.
Not only are you a badass mom, but you're also a badass teacher.
Yeah, it's rough. The classroom is rough. It's an underpaid, under-recognized job, and so it can be tough at times. But hey, it was a good week, so I'll celebrate that. What about you, Vicky?
Still, beginning of October is freaking crazy for me. It's Halloween, and Halloween is my busy season. 2 weeks ago, my friend Norm was out here. We did the press junket for Halloween Horror Nights, and I've been putting videos up, and then last Friday, my friend Vicky and I went to Hallow Screams Tampa for their press night, and holy shit, they had one of the best houses I have ever seen.
That's
It was
amazing.
circus themed. It had whole like circus wagons and
Nice.
oh, it was yeah. Hallow Screams it brought it this year. They really are.
Is
Really?
it scary? Is it like super scary? Yeah, like I'm a chicken shit, so I can't do anything like that. I'm like terrified of my cat who's sitting over here. I mean, I'm
Like how terrified are you? Because the Halloween party.
no,
is-
don't be telling me
is-
there's gonna be people jumping out.
Oh gosh, no.
Zombies.
I got no
I'll have to wear,
live
like-
action characters.
No, I'll have to like
Where's-
wear Depends or something. I'll piss my pants.
Where's my pen? Scare actors for Laura's
No.
Halloween party.
So the best part of it, my husband's like, I'm sensing a theme at the beginning of the house. And I'm like, well, we're gonna go with a haunted house theme because it's definitely not a mansion. I definitely don't live in a mansion. But we're gonna go with a haunted house theme. And then John and I for our costumes, because I love the cosplay aspect of it.
You love dressing up.
I
Yes.
do love dressing up. It makes me very happy. We're going to do a very interesting twist on the Queen of Hearts and the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland. So it's going to
I
be a
saw the
little bit of
bag.
a twist.
The bag was awesome, right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
I was like, she needs a place to go rather than just her
Oh, for
party.
sure. I
Oh,
know.
yes. And so now it went to a burlesque show last night.
Making
And that was
rounds.
so wonderful. Yes. And so the front of the house will be very decorated and the photo prop room will be very decorated. But then out in the back of the house, in the backyard, we'll have like a Mad Hatter Alice in Wonderland theme in that. I couldn't afford to do the entire house like that because my husband would literally kill me if I tried to like re-theme the entire house for our Halloween party.
I don't blame him. That might be very costly.
I mean, as it is, I keep getting. He's like, "What is this? What is this?" I'm like, "It's Amazon."
More Amazon.
And then I'm like, "But wait, I saved you $3 because I said it could come in 4 days instead."
Oh, that doesn't do anything. That just gives you like a digital, like a nothing, like 99 cents.
and we need to bring up that our viewers are going to be invited to this party.
Oh
Yes, absolutely they
Laura,
are.
go ahead
A
and
matter
tell them
of
what they have
fact.
to do.
So, a matter of fact, we have a couple of invitations that was able to go out after last week's show, which I'm super excited about. So, a couple invitations went out, and all you have to do to get invitations is you just need to watch the show, comment on the show while we're live, and then go ahead and share our feed or our website, and that's all you need to do, and then you get a ticket. And it is really awesome. We have themed drinks. I'm super excited about.
Nacho chili bar thing.
Oh,
That's
yes,
what
a
Dennis is
nacho
raving
chili
about.
bar. Gotta ask a question. Okay, so I gotta put this out there. I'm sorry, I have to ask. It's the chili controversy at my house. Okay, so apparently I've eaten chili wrong my entire life. So I felt like a chili nacho bar went together because I said, well, you put nachos chips and chili anyway, so it just made sense to me. And John says to me, you're the only family I've ever met that does that. Everybody else normally puts crackers in their chili. I said, you put crackers in chili? Like,
I don't put either one. I don't put either one. I don't put crackers or nachos in my chili, but I mean, we put it over rice.
So rice. So
Yeah.
see, because I have rice because that is a thing, and then I also know that it's oftentimes popular for people to do the Fritos, like where you do the Fritos.
I've seen that too.
Yeah, so I've seen that, but
I've seen like the oyster crackers. Like I don't eat those, but those little like hexagon looking ones.
yeah, I love oyster crackers, but those are meant for clam chowder, which is very difficult to get oyster crackers in Florida.
So get them from Amazon and get everything else. I'm sure they have them on Amazon.
Fritos, yes. You see, we have a Frito lover on here. We have a Frito lover, yay! And I do have some Fritos that might be here for the bar too, because I'm going to obsess and make sure I have every thing. And then I jokingly said to John, we had to go to, well, I didn't jokingly. Okay, so I said we had to go to the Dollar Tree because I had to go get some containers for the food and everything because of what we were serving. And then the Amazon box comes in 2 days later. He's like, why did we need those serving containers? I'm like, oh.
Whoops. That's okay.
Surprise.
For a different party.
No, it's the little touches that matter.
It is. I'm with you. Yeah, I agree.
And I'm going to be VJing, so I'm going to be doing the best of 80s and 90s videos and 80s and 90s music.
That I love.
Yes, it's going to be a fun night. So I've been getting the playlists together. If anybody has, again, suggestions, things they want to hear that they haven't heard, haven't seen video-wise in a long time, be great if you wanted to comment on Facebook.
Oh, yes.
Or the website. And that would be a good way to maybe score a ticket.
That would be phenomenal. I love that. I love that. I love that. And also, just to let you know, this I want to make sure everybody knows this is going to be as inclusive as possible. So for our friends that can get overly stimulated at times, like me at times. So I'm me. Also my bedroom, the primary bedroom in the house, and it has a full ensuite, which is rather large, is going to remain 100% undecorated. It's going to be in my normal home fashion. It's going to remain with the door shut. It will remain a nice, quiet, calm place. Should anybody need to step away, if they need 10, 15, 20 minutes just to regroup, to kind of calm down, I want to make sure there's a place that people could go if they need to, stem or do anything that they need to do to be comfortable.
Nothing but zombies for Jamie, and we'll be fine.
So I was going to say, I have a place for Jamie to go if it gets a little overwhelming.
So,
but unless her children are planning on jumping out at her, you should be fine.
I told Jackson and I told Dempsey. Well, Dempsey of course is coming, but Jackson was like, I'm there, because all I had to say was a nacho bar, and he was like, I'm coming. So yeah, it'll be the four of us. I can't guarantee the oldest. Yeah, he doesn't really go with us anywhere anymore. He's like almost 18, so he's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, so we were originally going to do a 4-person like costume, but like they're too big now. We used to do these awesome costumes where we did as a family, but I'm like, yeah, no, we're just going to do a couple costume like me and Dennis, but like we still are figuring out the kinks on that. So, and it's not going to be, definitely not going to be as amazing as yours. It will definitely be low maintenance as I am. So
Ours are not low maintenance.
yeah, no, ours are going to be for sure.
All right. So this week, the Turf Wars Part 2. Why does the transgender community hate J.K. Rowling so much? So to kind of finish up the introduction last week of TERF concepts, really the exclusion of transgender people began with a tome called The Transsexual Empire, which was Janice Raymond's 1979 book. She really kind of defined the whole term exclusionary radical feminism, the making of a she-male. So really, I don't recommend this reading for anybody with any brain cells whatsoever. But in the book, she basically lays out that she believes transgender people are sick. That and this is kind of where all TERF ideology really sprang forth from.
The fascinating look at it. Fascinating.
I've never even seen this book. I've never actually heard of it either. And this is the first time I'm seeing it. I mean, it's old. I mean, it's a year younger than me, but I mean, I'm looking at it going, wow. I've never seen it. It's the first time I'm seeing it. And I mean, it's just horrific, the terminology, and I get it. Like the terminology was different, but like still, like just even the way it's set up is kind of weird to me. So
But to turn that into a little bit of light, this is a quote from the person that actually started abbreviating that bullshit and coined the term TERFs. And Viv Smythe, she was definitely not in favor of excluding trans women. She was just reporting on this phenomenon and accidentally termed the term TERF. So she definitely was not all about excluding us. And JK, well, she evidently had way too much time during a little period we like to call, when everybody seemed to have a lot of time on their hands. That wonderful recreational period we like to call COVID.
You mean she did not spend all her time watching Tiger King like the rest of us?
No.
Carol Baskin. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. So, Facebook users, YouTubians, lend me your likes and subscribes. I have come not to bury J.K. Rowling, but I can't praise the bitch either.
You can bury her. I'm all about that.
The evil that transphobes put out on the internet will live on after them, at least till Elon Musk gives them the ability to scrub whatever the hell he calls his hate speech platform this week.
Exactly.
Right? So there are a ton of full chronologic summaries in YouTube, on websites of all the nasty shit that Joe said. I'm going to summarize because it honestly leaves a nasty taste in my mouth, and I really am not trying to put her down, but she did this to herself, and it's going to become very apparent why people got kind of pissed. We start here. This was June of 2020, a wonderful time to be alive. And again, I think everybody had just finished up Tiger King, so maybe she didn't have anything else to do. Let's just put something out there on Muskness, whatever the fuck that is. We'll just call it Musky from here on out.
Musky, I like that.
Cat urine.
It's a little musky. This is a wonderful quote. she didn't like the term people who menstruate. And then, of course, fiddled around trying to find some word. I'm not really sure what she was trying to say. Yeah. It's and this is kind of bad for a lot of reasons, and we actually touched on this. And next week is when we're really going to go forward with women's rights and particularly reproductive rights. But this really was an affront to the non-binary and because it really and trans male, trans masculine, because it really just totally completely ignored their existence at all.
Correct.
And then to follow it up the same day, she gave us this beautiful quote. Yeah, if sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people. Bullshit. But erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. Well, yeah, sometimes it is, Joe. The idea that women like me who've been empathetic to trans women for decades, feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way to women, i.e. to male violence, hate trans people because they think sex is real and has lived.
I don't even understand that. I don't understand it. To me, maybe when I read it the first time, I thought I was just experiencing brain fog and thought maybe, that's why I wasn't putting it together. If sex isn't real, there is no same-sex attraction.
Right.
What, I don't even understand what that means if sex isn't real.
This is a compound. This is a compound statement of bullshit. And I'm sure Jamie is already ripping it apart.
I'm
holy crap!
It's making teacher. It makes my head hurt.
I'm confused here on so many levels, but also because I have a pet peeve when people say, "I love you," but like don't start by
the
saying,
conditions.
Like, don't do that. Like that's just wrong, and like don't like. We've been taught to like sandwich things. So like, give a good compliment and then give the shitty part and then give another good compliment and then that makes it okay. I'm so like,
it'd be like Jamie going, Vicky, I love your blouse, but cover your damn shoulders.
Yeah. Yes. This is so wrong. Like,
but your lipstick is great. So you got to sandwich it, bitch.
Yeah. Like exactly. That's like bizarre. And it's so wrong. It's so unauthentic. But like this, I'm just looking. I'm reading it, and I'm so confused. Like
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm so confused.
So let's start with the fact that transgender people don't try to argue that sex doesn't exist. We acknowledge that sex exists. We have to deal with the parts that we've been given and choose what we do with them in our transition if we transition, right? But what we have an issue with is the exclusion of gender identity, not that we're trying to whitewash over the concept of sex. And almost under the table, she seems to say that gay and lesbian people could not be attracted to a transgender person at all, which is kind of bullshit as well, really.
You know what? That
I
must
think
be
there's interchanging between the words sex and gender, which is a problem here. And so that's like, okay, we need to separate those words and let's talk about, gender identity, who you go to bed as versus a sexual orientation, who you go to sleep with.
See,
like two
Jamie, I think that must be where I'm getting, like, when I keep seeing if sex isn't real, when people fornicate in whatever way, oral sex is sex, anal sex is sex.
I think she's talking, I think she means gender.
So she's meaning gender. She's meaning genetic sex.
Okay, so
biological gender, your genitals is what she's talking about.
But once again, no one on earth has claimed it isn't real. Like that's once again, it's as if she's created this spell. See, this is the problem. She learned to write a book, so she could write a little book, put it over in the corner, and be like, "Look, I found this book, and you know what it says in this book?" And she wrote it, so therefore the book said what she wrote, right?
Well, I'm going to say, based on this writing alone, I'm not quite sure she even wrote her book because this is so grammatically disturbing and so it's a clusterfuck here. I'm like, how would anybody? Oh my
again, God. It was a muskie, so I don't think she was. But the real big transphobe statement here is the feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women.
Yeah, to violate them.
She's
She's
trying to
saying,
sneak the trans women aren't
yeah,
women argument under the radar, right? That it literally is sandwiched into this phrase of word vomit that really just is nasty. And but it's, again, like you said, Laura, it's kind of lyrical and bullshitty at the same time.
yeah.
Now, I put both of you on the spot last week, and I'm going to apologize for that. I
No,
really,
never apologize, girlfriend.
You see?
15 minutes to air, I realized that based on the whole TERF show, I had laid out all my arguments for why I deserved a seat at the table, what I felt my qualifications are. But I realized that based on people like this and the way they think, that was not going to be any type of argument whatsoever. It would be largely hollow to anyone like Joe. So I do wish I could let people in my head to see the mess of a man that I used to have to pretend to be. Show them my childhood when all I wanted to was belong with my female friends. But really, I was caught between two worlds, and this doesn't acknowledge the fact that yes, we may not have had the journey of a traditional female. In some ways, a lot of what we got was worse, because we didn't really connect and gel anywhere. Everything was fake. I had years of therapy after I hatched. I knew I was a transgender woman. I knew I had to separate all the childhood traumas, which I thought maybe were the reason I had those feelings, from the fact that no, they were already there. So for her to say that, and we'll get into some quotes later on where she really talks about this rush to medication. 9-year journey to medication, bitch. That's not a quick jump in the I'm going to medicate myself, or I'm rushing to get hormones. And the first 5 years were spent trying to get this shit out of my head. And then I realized, oh no, that is what the hell is between my ears, and what's between my legs is an entirely different problem that I have to deal with now. So yeah, it'd be like saying, because the two of you aren't directly transgender, that you have no place in the LGBTQIA plus community. That's bullshit. You're the biggest activist, allies, friends, and we need allies and people more as a tiny little community. We'll talk about Joe's maybe potential motivations later, but I mean, it's just and a lot of the TERFs have taken off and expanded on this, because they claim that because we embrace the feminine. And trust me, I love my makeup, I love a dress, I love my shoe collection, I love my closet. I'm very happy reading my fashion magazines now and looking at what the hell's coming down and trying to figure out what my style is and put outfits together and do all of the stuff that I was denied for 50 plus years. So yes, I do embrace concepts of femininity that radical feminists who would prefer we all be kind of butch lesbians, just to put it quite plainly. So they think we're an affront on that level.
See, I have a problem with that, very, very much so. So we have 3 of us ladies here on this phone, right? 3 of us. Jamie is very, very, very happy, being very chill in her black t-shirt and her black sweatpants. You give her some black yoga pants, some black sweatpants, a black t-shirt, black sweatshirt. She is a happy girl, right? Am I lying?
No.
But
Okay.
but Jamie is beautiful in that bohemian coffee house.
Right. She pulls that off in a way that is very Jamie, right? That is her personality, and it suits her so perfectly. Me, there are days where I like to say I'm toning it down a little bit. And when I've just decided that I like to look however I want to look that day. If I want to look all sparkly that day, I'm going to look all sparkly that day because I have some days where I can't get out of bed. So whatever I feel like I want to do, that's what I'm going to do. And
That's an uplifting
it
thing
brings
for you.
me
Absolutely.
joy, right? And then we have Vicky, who's this fierce woman who, runs around doing all these different things and is beautiful in your own right, but you didn't
Just
have
by
to
doing
look at
wedges or heels.
right,
Yes.
right. But the thing is, you didn't have to look at me or Jamie and pick one. You got to pick the
You invented
personality
yourself.
that is
Yeah.
you. And I think that is what every woman is supposed to be doing. So
we don't actually get
by
to
them
do.
saying they
Yeah.
want to pigeonhole and put anybody into this butch lesbian category, that's completely taking away the whole idea of feminism to begin with.
Well, yeah, and what you both said last week was so beautiful because it was literally, you both got around to the same point, was, and both of you have seen me from the beginning of my, literally who I was. Laura literally days after the first time I went out to my first real formal event in a little black dress, had me on her podcast, and we just went to town on my whole story, who I was, how I got there. Yeah, but you've seen me living my authentic self.
Yep.
And that has been the start of our relationships, all three of us, right? So, do I stumble in my transition? Hell yes.
We all stumble.
Yes!
That's life. I mean,
Well, I mean, like
I don't
Laura,
want you to hold yourself to a standard that I don't hold myself to. Like sometimes,
Exactly.
like I don't like you're holding your standard so high, and like I like half the time I look like trash. Like I should just wear a trash bag, and I'm like, I'm fine with that. Like I went to school with my hair dirty today, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wash it for the show. I didn't even wash it at school for school. I'm like, who cares?
well,
I mean,
it's true. I hate my voice. I do fall down into the masculine very often, and Laura has ways to signal me to get the hell back up and tits up and get my voice back up into a range that is less masculine, more feminine. But that doesn't change what's going on between here. My thoughts, my feelings, and my truth are 100% female all the time.
And your human experience, that is you. I mean,
when
you spoke about like the medicines and the stuff that J.K. Rowling was saying, like, oh, Dempsey's not on any medicine. She's been in transition she's transitioned. She's been in like, oh my God, 6 years since she was 5. I mean, she can be 12 in a couple months. So it's been like 6 years. She doesn't have any medicine. She just living her life. She just being who she is. So
socially transitioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and there's no medicine there. It's not like that she's on the search to get like medicine she's just being who she is and living her life. And she's lived it for 6 years. So
and she we talked about this. She really inspired me to deal with some of the ugly that I encountered when I first, and again, we've seen the pictures. It's bad. I'm not going to bring them up again because I don't want to cry. But I mean, I was at a fast food place trying to get lunch, trying to fill up my cups. A construction worker came in who thought he could get one and really put me down and shame me for being who and what I am. When most of the other patrons, like even the cashier, gave me a little look up and down and then a smile and a nod. It was nice. And it was my first time going to work fully as me. So it had been already kind of an emotional day as it was. He came up right in front of me, shoved his drink cup in front of me. Sorry, dude. And intentionally misgendered me to get it. And I could feel the gears turning. And my friend Vicky, who had given me the best piece of advice just literally hours earlier, because I was really upset about my look, said, it's not the dress, it's not the wig, it's the attitude. And Dempsey, I remembered from the We're Here, the season finale, when she was showing everybody had to do her catwalk, which was amazing.
Yes.
And so I had a little backpack with me. I flung that shit over my back. I turned tail. I said, it's Miss. I've had all the good parts installed, and I sashayed my ass out of that restaurant, Dempsey style. And that was really where I'm like, nope. If I'm going to own this, I'm going to own this. And his friends were laughing at him because it was oh, you can either choose to let them put you in a shell or put you in a cave, or you can face the ugly head on. You don't have to get into a fight, and I'm not violent, but exactly.
I mean, for me, everybody, like, when they meet me, they're like, "Oh, you're very intimidating," and I don't think I'm intimidating, but people find me intimidating. But
I hear the same exact thing.
But I'm not confronting. I think I'm just loud. So, like, but people find that intimidating, and so I'm like, that's fine. But I'm not a confrontational person. Like, I'm a person that sits back and thinks. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm going, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I will think before I say anything. And I've learned that in my life only because it's just my mechanism to figure it out. So I totally get that. And you can't fight everybody physically. That guy was an asshole. Like, that guy was an asshole. And look, he got served by his own friends. Yeah. So, I mean, you did the best thing. And then his friends were laughing at him. So who loses in that situation? He did.
Yeah, you want to know what, though? What's going on, though, is actually affecting cisgender people too, and I just want to put that out there because of the fact that I have a cousin who was born a male, still a male, identifies as a male, still very cisgender male, a maley male, a matter of fact, like almost overcompensated kind of male, because his voice is so high that he's often, very often, mistaken for a woman. Mm-hmm. And I can only imagine for him, for people to look and the voice doesn't match, if people might not be making some interesting, rude
it
comments.
Affects anybody that doesn't fit into a box. Like, here's a box, here's another box. If you don't fit into it, then you're weird, you're different, you're other. And that's the problem. And it's, gender it's a scale. It you fall anywhere. Like, yes, do I identify as female? Yes. But am I feminine? Like, in like my appearance? Not particularly. No, I'm not. Like, and that's okay. Like, it's a spectrum. It's not just here and here. Like, it's all the in between.
It's about who you are. It's and that's how it's always supposed to have been. Like,
Well, who made the new rules? Like, I would like to know who made the rules where it's like, you have to be here or you have to be here. It's like, really? Does like somebody need to look like Fabio on the cover of a novel? Like, who the hell defined that?
Right. So, you'll see a lot in what, and we post it all the time. Trans women are women. They don't just adopt feminine traits. This isn't some show we're putting on. No. This is the cornerstone of gender identity, and this is where we in the TERFs totally take off in two directions.
Well, one thing that they don't understand, because unfortunately there's a lot of uneducation out there, and it's a lack of trying to obtain the education. Yes, the unwilling. Jamie said it very bluntly. The unwillingness.
They don't want to learn, so they don't want to, and they don't try.
Because of the fact that the amount of therapy that has to go in to the very first prescription for anything ever being prescribed, which is what they're so obsessed over to begin about.
But why are they so obsessed with anybody else?
Why are they so? I want to know why is everybody so obsessed with women's genitals, especially? Because as long as you're a cisgender man,
if they would know what the different parts are. I mean, they don't even know what things are. So.
As soon as you say woman, all of a sudden they want to give a damn what's in your pants. You see, that's what happened. You're a cisgender woman. They care what's in your damn pants again.
But they really don't.
And in my bra.
No, they really don't.
And in your bra, they really don't. And
you get dick pics now, so you can see how lovely that is. And can I ask anybody? I was thinking about this back in the day. Okay, remember flashers? They used to get like arrested
Yes.
and in trouble for flashing because it was inappropriate, right?
I
How is
think-
sending me a dick pic anything different than fucking flashing me?
I think there's so
There's
many
no
people
stadium
doing
security.
it. There's no you can't police it. It's just too friggin' rampant that they're just,
God! I
everybody.
mean,
I'm
talk
surprised
about
my cat hasn't sent me one yet because they all like everyone's like Rose.
right. Woo! Look what I can do. Like,
And he doesn't even he's sitting right in front of me.
Next week on
Doesn't
the
even
show.
have underpants on.
Okay.
Like, come on.
Now that Jamie said that, next week we will have a gallery of the dick pics that Jamie's got.
I'm very flexible. Ready?
Don't let don't make me bring we have to bring the oxygen tank down for you.
The mask is dropping. The mask is dropping. So long to short, we've already made this long, and we are not even a quarter of the way through this. We got to get through. Exclusion simply because someone can't acknowledge another human's truth seems really hypocritical when you're asking others to accept yours. This
Yes.
is Joe's truth, and
Yeah.
yet she's like, "Fuck you and your truth."
Yeah.
The hypocrisy.
Yeah, and it just got worse. I don't even want to read this one.
Oh Lord. How shall we go there? All right. I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. What, bitch?
Yeah.
Because they
Thank-
really.
thank-
What?
At the same time,
They thought our life is such a piece of fucking cake, right?
at the
Wait,
same
what?
time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it's hateful to say so. This was a sandwiching thing again. It was her
Yeah.
way to say, I believe in your truth, but I'm female, and I don't believe it's hateful to say I'm female because I don't really believe you're female, because that's what you say.
But it's if you were being discriminated against based on being trans, I'm discriminating against you as being a transgender woman, but I'm not discriminating you based on being trans. On her, it's the woman part that offends her.
Right.
Well,
right.
in what planet does she live on that people aren't discriminated against because they're trans? Because does she live on this
Yeah.
planet? I
Yeah,
mean, look
I
at
mean,
all the laws and everything else.
what-
I mean, my
what-
God.
What the actual fuck, Joe? I mean, even if we weren't living in the most horrific time for LGBTQIA rights,
God.
women's rights, and literal attempts to legislate us the fuck away.
Yes. Erase transgenderism.
Genderism.
We struggle for acceptance every single
Let's
fucking
not
day.
erase Trumpism.
Don't-
Let's erase transgenderism.
Just a note
Let's
here.
not
Anybody
let's not
watching-
eradicate a mental disorder. Trumpism.
Just a little pointer to our viewers: do not use the word transgenderism. That is not
Oh,
a
that's
word.
a bullshit word.
And transgenders is not a word either. So don't say transgender.
Yes,
Just say
and
a
if the
transgender
HR person on the phone tells you, you know, them transgenders, and you say to
no.
them, I have a transgender daughter, and they say to you, we got to go now.
Yeah, I get people are still trying to learn, but like if someone correctly, like gently corrects you, learn from it, because transgenderism, no matter what politician says it, that is not a word.
That's a
And
Republican
It's
catchphrase.
a Republican. It is absolutely a Republican catchphrase. So like, yeah.
And it's not just us. I'm really going to throw this open to the two of you now. Our families and friends who love and support us are collateral damage in this battle all the time. So do you care to field this one? How have you and your children and your families been attacked simply for existing? I know that's a lot.
Jamie has been attacked a lot more than I have, because Jamie has been a lot more vocal and out a lot longer than I have, publicly. And I have to say that. So, but for me,
unfairly, because all she's trying to do is love and support her child.
correct.
Yeah.
For me, the things that I've gotten the most of is, well, I seem to have a target on my back that religious leaders have decided that I should be put to death and shot because of me having a transgender child who I did not disown, who instead I decided to love and embrace. I was actually told by the owner of the Tavares Foxtail that this area of where I live is very family orientated. And I said,
Okay.
but I love my child, and
That's family or what?
I love my child unconditionally. I thought that was family values.
Yeah.
And somehow the Republican Party that's right down here in Lake County, in Tavares, they, according to them, in the Bible, my child is an abomination, and somehow because of that, so am I.
Yes. Well, it's also an abomination to wear cloth of different fabrics. It's an abomination to drive your car to church on Sunday because that's kindling a fire on the Sabbath. It's an abomination to eat shellfish. It's an abomination to be a hateful son of a bitch. But they seem to pull that one off all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and a lot of go kill yourselves. You deserve to die. Your child deserves to die. All that wonderful stuff. But like I said, I believe Jamie.
I did
Is
believe that was
definitely-
Christ's words from the cross, wasn't it? When he was hanging on the cross?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's right up there. Haven't you read the 10 Commandments? Because you should
Yeah.
die is right up in there for having a transgender child.
Or support.
Yeah.
It's really more for supporting. It's not
Yeah.
that you have one. They're okay. Like, okay, just don't allow your kid to be okay and live.
Yeah, I'm supposed to disown my
know.
child.
But Laura, you've told me how many times you've been called out for causing your transgender daughter, for grooming
Yes.
your transgender, who
Oh,
came out
yes.
to you when she was an adult.
Yes,
And
yes.
you had no clue.
Yeah, that was my favorite, is that I groomed it. I wanted two girls, and that's what I did. I will say my girls danced competitively growing up. So I used to hear all the time I was making my child gay. So I guess for those people, they probably feel that I made my child trans. That would be their logic, as well as because I had a male dance. However, my child was a male when they danced. My child was stopped dancing when she transitioned. So I'm getting much better going back and forth between the two. That is something that I had to learn how to do a
it's
little
hard.
bit better.
It's hard.
Well,
For me, I mean, Dempsey is like our youngest, and a lot of times when we get interviewed, they ask like how her brothers handled this whole transition, and often I say they've only known Dempsey as Dempsey. So Dempsey's always been who she was, even when she was like 3. So they've always just kind of been her biggest allies and supporters. I mean, they still fight, but they're being transgender is not a reason that they pick on her. They pick on her because they're like, you're a bitch, you're so bossy, but not because she's trans. They don't care. That's not a thing. And at one point it was funny because, we actually tell the boys, can you not announce it to whole neighborhood that your sister's trans? Because we're just so proud of her. And I'm like, yeah, but let her tell Mr. Wilson. Don't go down there and say that. And actually I have something that I haven't mentioned before, because I usually don't speak about it publicly, because I often don't feel like it's my story to share, but it is part of my story. So I will share it, and I won't use names. But when I was much younger and I was living in New York, and Dennis and I, we weren't married yet, but we were dating and we were together in a committed relationship. I decided that I wanted to donate my eggs to give another woman a chance to have a child at some point that couldn't have one.
That's beautiful.
And so it was
Beautiful.
a huge process, a huge undertaking. Had to go medical tests. It was extremely painful. Dennis we weren't even married, and he had to go through psychiatric tests, and all this stuff. And it was all going to be anonymous. And so I got chosen. Someone picked me out of a book based on my education level and my characteristics, physical or whatever. And someone picked me. And so whatever, I didn't really think much about it afterwards. And then, I used to think about it then, later on when I had children of my own. And during COVID, I had sent away for my ancestry DNA kit. And during COVID, I get a message. And it's from a young girl, and a younger girl. She's young. I mean, she's older than Jaden. So she was now about 21. And she reached out to me and she said, I'm really confused because I just had my DNA done. And, my mom told me that I had a sperm donor father, but I matched you 100%. And so I was like, okay, I got to figure out, I know what this is. I reached out and I said, yeah, I donated my eggs. And it turns out her mom actually, unfortunately, passed away when she was 16 of brain cancer. But her mom never told her she used donated eggs. Her mom was a little bit older and raised her on her own and used a sperm donor. And she was like, oh, well, I'm trying to she's like trying to wrap her head around this. And she's like, by the way, I'm a twin. So I was like, okay, that's a lot. But yeah, knowing what they did with the in vitro thing, they took a bunch of eggs, right? And she's like, I just want to let you know that my sibling, my twin, is transgender and is transitioning to female. And so that was a lot. Like it was middle of COVID. Dennis was like in the garage and like I walked out and I just started to cry. And I'm like, oh, okay. So here, like all these people have been telling me this is like me putting it on my kid. I don't know this kid. It is my biologic offspring. I am the carrier of this gene, and my children, was going to be a chance, and they were going to be unicorns no matter what. Nurtured environment, anything. And so I don't often share that story because, people are like, oh, well, you should have that, like, so people will test. And I'm always afraid that they'll like try to eradicate that gene because they can isolate it. And so that's my worry.
Right.
Yeah.
But clearly it is in my DNA. So no matter who I was with, I was going to have a magical unicorn child.
We literally just had that argument at the center in the support group last night. I brought up the whole concept of the genetics and the brain structures and all of the things that lead credence to physical evidence of what we go through, and that there is physical evidence. And I was told, oh, we don't want to push that because, oh, no, we don't want to push that because then they will exterminate children based on that.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of. That's why I have
the
it.
Gattaca response, right?
Yeah. But I will say that their mom, both the two of them, their mom was super supportive and left like a whole trust in her death of voice lessons, electrolysis, everything was super, super supportive. And I've gotten to know one twin, but not the other because the other one's still dealing with a lot of stuff in their life. And so I am the other twin who reached out to me initially is a part of her life and is like a sibling to my kids, is a sibling. And
That's
so
amazing.
It's just, for me, like, it was kind of like one of those, like the emoji where your head blows off. Cause you're like, what, cause I'm so used to people telling me like, I made Dempsey that way. Like I wanted a girl so bad. I just made one. I'm like, here, bitch. No, look at the science here. Like, it's genetics.
Jamie, do you remember when our friend in Texas was going through her lovely ordeal? And that was very new to my Ruth coming out and me coming out, to my friends about everything that was going on. And we were sitting at a friend's birthday party up in Orlando on a rooftop bar somewhere. And my friends brought me over into this conversation. She literally, my friend who knew my daughter Ruth, brought me into this conversation because there was this mom in Texas who really, really wanted a girl. And I needed to hear this story. And I literally, in this room full of people, said, what the hell do you think I want to hear this shit for? And I walked away and I was the bitch. I was the bitch with the problem, just so everybody knows. I overreacted. Could you imagine the audacity? Oh, but that your child, no. And you see, that's the problem that I have. And Vicky had the pleasure of meeting my parents this weekend.
Yeah.
Now,
really?
Yes. So, and I want to say, and I want to give a mad shout out to my mom, because I want to make sure that it is well known that my mom has really done leaps and bounds better. She is a poster child for sometimes it takes a while. She wasn't outwardly hateful at all. I don't want to make that at all. It just is taking her a while to get it. You know what I mean? Kind of stumbling a little bit, but not. You know what I mean? And now she went, and my daughter moved out of state, and she actually went and visited my daughter on her own out of state and everything like that. So I just want to say that. However, I had always told Vicky that when she interacted with my dad, that one-on-one, she would never know there was that problem. Because when my father connects with a person, he's going to be fine with Vicky. He's going to be fine with Dempsey. He's going to be fine with Ruth. But he cannot take away that to his opinion in what he outwardly voices negatively at bullhorn capacity in bullying people on the internet.
I think there's a disconnect with the internet. I feel like Dennis, like he coined this thing. I don't know if he coined it because he probably didn't, but he says they're keyboard warriors. Like they're like shitheads in real life. Like they don't go out in public. They don't talk to anybody. And so their bravest moment is when they're sitting there behind their computer, like typing away. And it's like, you're like, stop it. Like if you want to have a conversation with me, confront me in public then. You know, and you two have that story of like, even like when we were just at the the march here in Kissimmee, when you went in there and you were like talking to me, you have a problem with my friend?
Yeah.
Like seriously, like honestly, the keyboard, I don't even care about like I just delete their things because I'm like, you're so stupid, you're so ignorant. Like I can't even educate you.
There is a bunch of Facebook hate groups that are going to transgender forums on Facebook, and they putting the laughing emoji on everybody's post.
Yes.
And the laughing emoji is supposed to equate to violence. That's their, I'm being violent towards you. I am being violent towards transgenderism.
Yeah.
I'm being,
transgenderism.
Ooh, Rita wants to know, I apologize, y'all, but before we get too far, Rita wants to know, what do we think about today's ruling?
Oh, yeah, that was a tough one. Now we know, and we did, yeah. November, the court date is coming, so it's not like it's that far away until we get actually to the 11th Circuit Court and see what their actual opinion is. But the fact that the previous ruling that kind of weakened the argument, and that was cited in the judge's decision, and we're talking about a decision not to put on hold the adult transgender provisions of the care bill, which really are a block to us having ease of access to
medical care and
medical care.
It's blocking grown adults who has been working in partnership with their providers already for often years and months and months and months, if not.
But wait a minute, what about the argument of saving the children from transgenderism? Well, why are they attacking trans adults now? Because they are capable of making decisions on their own. So really, what is
just like drag performers, they see us and they're going to catch our drag cooties. Don't you know?
Because how dare you be open and be yourself in public? Yeah,
I loved what somebody said, and I don't remember who it is, that said, and I do apologize because it's probably my brain fog here. But it's to make it easier for them to be able to identify the transgender people by trying to slow down the transitioning, because as we know, a little bit of hormone can go a long way, right, Miss Vicky?
Yep.
And you can pass pretty quick, and there comes a point in time, I know especially in a lot of the trans male even, where they might even be able to go off the testosterone and honestly get to a point where they can level with hormone blockers and some natural supplements. Not getting into whether or not all the ins and outs of that medically, but there is a point in time where, you might not need all the massive medications and all that. And they're trying to stop before you get to that point. So it's easier to identify you. So it's easier to bully people. And that's all it is about bullying.
It's being able to visually identify people. I mean, you all know, like with young children, young trans children, it's about being, proactive, and when you've already passed puberty, it's about reactive, like
Right.
having to
'Cause
react to everything.
nobody's
that
worried
after.
that Dempsey is going to attack somebody in the bathroom, right?
Oh,
Like
you'd be
nobody's truly
surprised.
worried about that, right?
I think they might be. I think they are. I mean,
So you
I mean,
want to
that's
know
why
what I
she's
think is so
so-
ludicrous about that? And I want to bring up this Me Too movement for a little bit because we're going to be talking about feminism anyway. And I'm sorry, Vicky's like, I can never keep these girls on a tangent.
Yeah.
So-
So,
we're in a pretzel.
part 3 is coming next week already. And that's fine. That's fine.
I
all
don't want to
good.
talk about J.K. Rowling anymore. No,
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about her.
Well,
I don't want to give her a part 3. Can we talk? We can talk about feminism part 3. I can't
I love
talk about her
that.
anymore.
It even gets worse. I mean, look at this shit.
But when we're talking about the Me Too movement here, I just want to be very, very honest and bring something to attention.
first option. I'm sorry.
The majority of women that I am aware of that have been sexually assaulted by somebody that they know. And
Yes.
or a family member, a family friend, a relative, which is a family member, obviously, before anybody beats me up on that one, or clergy.
Mm-hmm.
These
That's a
are
whole nother topic.
correct. But if you're
honestly.
worried about people attacking people sexually and doing that, we're focusing on such the wrong place, especially when that story, which we've talked about already, was
I don't
not even a
think-
transgender person.
I don't think they actually believe that they're a threat. I think they use that as propaganda. I don't actually think they believe
See?
it. I don't think they believe that Vicky is a threat or Dempsey is a threat. I don't think they believe that. I think they just use that as the story they want to push for anybody that doesn't know anybody that's trans. And so they just like, oh, look at this trans person. They're going to attack somebody in the bathroom. And so they just use that. It's just bullshit. It's not real. They're not actually scared, because if they were so scared, then they don't cower when they come up to Vicky or come up to me and say whatever. They don't.
No,
They're
they do
afraid.
not. They definitely do not cower when they come up and say anything.
But the dumbass TERFs in Britain are calling for men to go into women's restrooms and protect their wives and daughters with
So fucking
guns.
stupid.
What? What?
I usually don't. I like to use the F-bomb normally, but not usually on the podcast. But what the fuck is wrong with people? Like,
Yeah,
that
good
is
question.
just.
I
can't.
don't even like, mothers demand action. I was talking with a representative the other day because of the fact that I was trying to explain that what they're wanting and what we want are really the same things. We just want common sense. We want fair and equalityness for everybody. And that, I mean, equality. That's what it is. And moms demand action as we demand that I have 2 children. Each of my children that were born to the same parents, that were raised next to each other, had all the same exact opportunities that each other have, should have the same rights as as each other. Like, I shouldn't be fighting for fucking rights, basic healthcare and rights and living rights for a child that I birthed that has done nothing wrong.
But
and you
if
have
we
3
didn't have any trans kids, I would still be fighting like hell for my daughter, a cisgender daughter, for her freaking rights, because she's got less rights than I had when I was the same age.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And that is part of it, is the fact that we all have to be together, and we can't let just one thing divide us, because it's equality for everybody, and that's exactly what it's
Intersectionality,
at.
the word I hate, intersectionality.
We're trying.
I
we're
hate
trying-
it because it's so hard to say, not because I hate the word.
Yes.
So, Joe, I waited 9 years. I tried earnestly to give up being a female. Finally, understanding that this is who and what I am. And this was the best of me. I'm sorry you are way the fuck off base. My transition was life-saving. My wife and children can attest to the fact that I was going to not be here. I was going to do damage to their lives by leaving my life. She paints this as a choice. This is not a choice. Gender care, gender affirming care, is life-saving care. I will say it to my dying day. The day I was given hormones and my brain, heart, body connection, finally got the estrogen that it needed, it was like I could fucking breathe for the
You
first time in
blossomed.
my life.
You were
I
you.
did. And so, you know, she goes on to talk about how look at all the people that detransition.
No one did. That's less than 1%.
Less than one. It's actually 0.03 fucking percent, Joe.
It's so
And are we
ridiculous.
also looking at the
had their
people?
knee
Were
surgery.
they in inclusive environments where they felt
They
safe?
retransitioned back because of societal pressures or their parents, or they had no support. That more people regret knee surgery or nose jobs or boob jobs, which I don't regret mine, but they do.
I don't regret mine either.
30% of people who get hip replacement
Yeah.
or knee replacement fucking hate their knee or hip replacements.
How many people get a tattoo and regret it?
I had mine covered up. It just was this small, then it got bigger and bigger and bigger because I had it covered up. Yeah.
So I'm going to summarize this so we don't have to come back, so Jamie can get rid of this again.
I fucking hate her. I'm sorry.
Not only did Joe piss off the transgender community, a lot of the Harry Potter stars really got pissed off with Joe and spoke out. Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter himself, came out on the Trevor Project and said, essentially, I'm sorry if this ruins basically your view of the books. They were supposed to be magical. This is
Trevor
bullshit.
Project.
Yay, Trevor Project!
And Emma Watson, watch this shit.
Emma Watson. She's proud to call herself a feminist, but we all know she's a witch.
I'm here for all of the witches.
I love her.
I love you. Yes.
She very publicly said no. So I mean, it even caused a fight with Stephen King. Because
Stephen King, I love him.
Love Stephen King.
He didn't know what he was.
Can we have him as a guest on our podcast?
Yeah, Stephen King, would you please give us a call? I would like you to be on the show, please.
I think we can reach out to him. I don't know.
I think we can.
We got a lot of woman power here. I think we can do it.
I think we can. I think we know how. All it is research. I actually believe, if I'm not mistaken, if I believe John. Okay, you have to remember, John. There's BL, which is before Laura. So John doesn't really have a life before me. So you have to remember, like, we don't talk about it a lot, but I believe before me that a girlfriend that he dated, like, she knew Stephen King some freaking way. Yeah, some like third
Did
degree.
John live in Maine?
He lived in Pittsburgh.
In the beginning, John was nothing, and then the Laura occurred. And the Laura saw it and said, "It's good."
You know, I just have to say, I'm a lot better than I used to be about some things, and he's allowed to have had a life prior to me before. You should have seen me when I said, "You played basketball?" Like, we were married like 20 years before I knew we played basketball, and we've been married 29.
Well, this is Henry the cat who's decided to take over.
Mine were all over here earlier, all up on me. I look like a fur bomb.
Like, whatever.
Henry is done with the J.K. Rowling shit too. So I'm going to summarize this very quickly. Joe, why the fuck do you care? You're a multi-billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
I know people are trolling you, and you may be a little upset about that bullshit, but what the absolute fuck? You have more money than most of us will ever see in a million lifetimes. You're living in a castle. Fuck you. Get over it.
I call that my trigger finger.
I saved that for J.K. Rowling. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's why the transgender community hates the bitch.
Oh, and the allies.
Oh yeah, she doesn't like us either. Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
No.
All right, so I'm gonna play, and then we'll be back with final thoughts.
still dancing.
I love that music. I can't help it. I cannot help it. And, I just want to let everybody know, I know we're going to do final thoughts, but, Rita May said that their child was suspended for using the restroom.
Yeah, bullshit.
So if people don't realize this is really having effects on human beings, children, minors that honestly, for the love of God, they just want to pee. That's all they want to do is pee. Let the people pee. If you cared about the kids, you wouldn't be trying to give them interstitial cystitis.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. Sorry.
As a teacher, it's difficult because I'm trying to not enforce this and trying to stand guard and making sure these kids that are trans who come out to me are able to use the bathroom. And so it's just very stressful and it's difficult. And I'm sorry, Rita, that sucks.
I have friends that are nurses in the schools that are still trying to allow kids to use the bathrooms there, and they're getting a lot of pushback because, Moms for Liberty, which I know is another one of Jamie's hate words, is Moms for Liberty, which they're not. They're Moms for Bigotry. Just so we're very, very the Ku Klux Klan of Karens, is trying to take healthcare, all basic healthcare, away from the schools. They say healthcare doesn't belong in schools. So I had a nurse that I was talking to today whose daughter was diagnosed with POTS, dysautonomia, which is something that I have also. And the school actually called her and said to her, well, this is a lot. Can't you just homeschool your child? Now, how is she supposed to homeschool her child, provide her an education, and work at the same time? You can't take everything away and expect people to be successful. I mean, it just is. They have a whole bunch of privileged people telling you that you don't need things. Well, I hate to tell you, they clearly have not tried to go to the doctors for a blessed thing in the past couple of months. Is all I have to say. So, I'm sorry.
All right. So
Go ahead,
we need to wrap this up only because there's so much to unpack in this episode, and I'm going to go to bed and try to unpack it and wait for next week to regurgitate what I'm thinking. I love you both. This has been a great conversation. I don't love talking about J.K. Rowling.
No. If it wasn't requested, we definitely would not have done it.
I really there's so many other things that we can talk about, and I don't want to talk about her anymore. She's such a hateful person, and she brings so many people down. So, and she gives people platform to be hateful, and that's also my problem with her too. So, but my final thoughts are: I love you both. I love our viewers out there. I'm so grateful that everybody watches, and I know we have some commenters here with the policies in the bathroom, and I know from a personal standpoint, I'm doing my best to try to thwart it, but it's really hard with the state law and what the administrators are trying to do, and even the school at large, nobody really knows what the hell they're doing. And so keep watching, and I would encourage you to reach out to us even personally on Facebook, and we'll try our best to help you.
Next week it's reproductive rights. It's important. It's really important.
And Jamie brought up a great point. We have wonderful ways that you can reach out to us, which is our social media accounts. We have our regular Living Out Live page, and then we also have our Living Out Live group, which you can join. We talk about things. You can share things. You can find out more things about us if you'd like. Then you can ask us questions.
You can email us.
Email us, yes, message us on Messenger, please, because we do understand that it is heavy, and we are there to support, and we are there to give you love. And go to our Facebook page, look for our upcoming events. You're going to be able to find our Halloween house party on there. You're going to find different events that we're going to be going to. I know we're all going to be going to Space Coast Pride, and there's all sorts of other events that we pop over to, and we love to be at and love to be a part of. And if you have events locally in Florida, especially around the Central Florida area, that you are interested in having us come to talk or do anything, message us. email us. We would love to come to those events and talk to you and talk to groups and everything. That's what we're here for. We want to spread the word of love and inclusion and show you that our families matter. And by putting us out there and presenting that to everybody so they can see that we have value and we're not ashamed of our family and our friends.
And
We
we're not
love
going
them.
anywhere.
We're
We're not going anywhere.
And to be quite honest, we just really like fucking hanging out with each other. All
Yeah.
of us, so
It's really fun.
But now I have to go to bed.
she's gonna go to bed. I want to say thank you to everyone who commented. Thank you for everyone who's watching. Keep circulating these on YouTube, on our Facebook pages. The replays are up there instantly. I have to go and watch this again every night to go, oh shit, I did that. Oh shit, I said that.
Me too.
It's the usual thing, and we will see you next week, where we will be taking on women's reproductive rights and non-binary men's reproductive rights, and love you all.
Everybody's reproductive rights.
We'll see you next week.
Amen.